it needs its flowers, and I'm glad that this triple threat is happening.
You know what else needs its flowers? Jeff Hardy versus Shane McMahon. I want that at Mania.
Why?
Why you want to see two people kill themselves?
They chose to do that for our entertainment.
This is what I'm trying to say. It's gonna happen, man. To get into some Book of Berries, kicking it off once again with your boy Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, that championship rivalry. This past week they had the Samoan street fight, and Jey Uso is just chilling. He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm about to fight with my cousin, man. I'm about to fight with my cousin." And Caleb Braxton is just like, like he may not seek out your best interest, right? He's like, "Oh yeah, what you talking about? That's family, dog. That's family, dog." He comes out, and instead of whatchamacallit, last week where Roman walks in, he basically just tears stuff up and he steals a victory. It's Jey Uso coming in at the tail end. You see Roman get the spear in. You see Jey Uso on the corner of Roman Reigns' eye. He sees Jey Uso flying in the air. He steps back. Jey Uso swoops on in for the Samoan splash. 1, 2, 3. They embrace in the middle of the ring. They have the smile, the embrace. The first time we've seen Roman Reigns show any form of expression other than anger since his return. Jey Uso's walking back, and that meme-worthy moment of the week ending off the show. You just have Roman Reigns. How did you like it? How did you love it? Did you book it, bury it?
I loved it. 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 I ain't gonna lie. I like the fact that they did not pull the trigger on him whooping his ass, and the fact that he was able to leave the ring and still be, happy and just happy to be here type of scenario. I loved it, and I really thought that it was a possibility that it was going to happen that night. But I like the fact that they're teasing that, and the fact that I've seen, in some ways, the darkest I've kind of seen Roman. When he kind of had that, yeah, we're good. And it was like, and just basically just stone face, like, okay, Jay might die. Like he gonna get see. It's one thing about getting your ass whooped, but it's also another thing about dying. He gonna die. Clash of Champions.
There's some form of it's the simplicity in the storytelling where you could see like everyone kind of going towards the thing of like, yo, Jay may die. But there's a little piece of me, right? Little small piece of me leading up to this pay-per-view where it's like, maybe Jey Uso playing us. Whereas like maybe it could be a case where he's like all smiley, all hunky-dory, and maybe this coming Friday, instead of Roman striking, he strikes. Or he may, like, you know what I mean? Because like it's kind of one of those things where it's a joke that's so obvious, maybe they don't make it. So could that be a case? Because like we can all obviously, Jey Uso gonna get his ass whooped, but could we see a case where it's just like strike first, get tied?
I think well, first and foremost, before I answer that, I just want to say congratulations to Jey Uso finally getting a storyline where he doesn't feel like someone's backup. Like he, for the past couple of years being in the Usos, he's been one of the highlights of it, obviously, but a lot of people kind of gravitate more towards Jimmy. So to see Jay actually getting some shine on his own is pretty cool. 2, this has to be awesome for them as a family, getting to work a big angle like this at this time, especially with Roman coming back. This has to be like the perfect storm for them in terms of what's going on. So I'm really happy for them on that front. But in terms of, does this have a swerve as opposed to the typical, oh, Roman's going to kill him? I mean, it can happen. Everybody expects him to die in the match, like Randy said, and that's definitely a perfectly fine, logical right end of the story. There's a part of me that wonders if Jay's playing us too. I don't know necessarily if it's going to be like Jay turns on Roman, or like we have a situation where Jay knew all along he was going to get beat up, so he was ready for it. There was a part of me that honestly thought we might see a finger poke of doom situation in Night of Champions, where Jay purposely throws the match for Roman in some way, shape, or form. and they just end off the night with their hands raised, and he joins whatever makeshift alliance this is with Heyman, where it's like, when I'm not going to go against my blood, I'm not going to go against family, you know, and it would get so much heel heat on Roman because it's like all this talk about just show up and win or wreck them and leave. Like, that's literally what you'd be doing, just showing up and win. Doesn't matter how you win, it's just matter you win, and you still got the strap on you, still got the bucks and everything. So that's just something that's been in the back of my mind. I don't expect it to happen, but I do kind of feel like an alternative route to this storyline is coming up because something tells me WB's not going to keep it simple.
It's just one of those things where like they kind of, again, the simplicity in storytelling, you love everything about it, but sometimes it's so obvious that they could swerve you and it could be better than what you thought, you know? So it's just one of those things. Another one of those storylines, you know, technically we can argue that it was kind of the case, was the Bailey and Sasha storyline. And last week we were talking about how potentially they could kind of keep her off TV. She's back on TV. She is wearing the neck brace. You know, she is behind the scenes. She's not on TV, but she was out there. She was in the segment basically saying, hey, listen, you know, like everyone was talking about how I would kind of screw Bailey, and how I was using Bailey and actually she used me and all that stuff. And then Bailey pops up out of nowhere, just says F yo, you know, and then just whoops her ass, puts the chair on her neck. And then right beforehand, you just see how all the security back her off. Going from one major storyline to another, are we booking or burying how they did this bad boy?
I'm gonna book it. I'm gonna book it only because she's now getting the sympathy face of it. So this is the transition now. The transition from being a heel to a face. So now that she's getting the sympathy for it, Ty is actually burying it. Wow. The fact that she's getting the sympathy, I mean, it's cool. I would rather her be off TV. Sometimes you don't need an explanation to everything. I'd rather be off TV and have her come back. Like, I know we've talked about this amongst each other and on here, have her come back at a major pay-per-view and start the angle from there. But unfortunately, this is the route they want to go. Hopefully, this doesn't lead to a Hell in a Cell match, but we shall see.
So we got Kid Dynamite, you know, with the thumbs down. I think he's keeping the same energy of this past week. What you thinking, man?
I don't bury it 100%. Let's get that out the way. This is just you get it's yes or no, right? But my thing is like, I feel iffy about it because there's a lot of room for error, if that makes sense. Like, yes, you know, Sasha appearing on TV this week can make sense, but I don't think it was the move that needed to happen. You know, I feel like sometimes WWE does a little too much with storylines to emphasize a point, where it's like the best way to get across a point is for it to be short, concise, and tell everything that needs to tell in a small like manner. You know, you don't always have to drag out things, although some things are better dragged out. I think in this situation, Sasha could have easily just stayed off TV. And like similar to what Randy said last time around, you know, with her being part of the Mandalorian and then wanting to get some love off of that. The fact that, you know, Vince is clearly still hesitant on the women's division because he doesn't have a lot of stars. He's going to try to keep a lot of star power that he can on TV for the sake of ratings and attention, right? I think this, like what Eric was saying, I think the story deserves a little sabbatical for Sasha Banks to build to a huge pop when she returns. It just doesn't. It's not one of those things where she has to be on TV frequently or even after the attack. Like after an attack like that, I don't feel like talking. I'm gonna be honest. If I got beat up like that, either I'm gonna come back and kick somebody's ass, or I'm going to recover and bide my time and calculate a way to beat somebody's ass. And if it leads to her fighting a Hell in a Cell, like we said last time, you can do the whole like she comes back before she's medically cleared or she's not cleared enough to fight, and she does the whole Taker Lesnar dynamic from '03. But part of me still feels like it's a mistake if it's going to lead to a Hell in a Cell match and they're just going to have her sell, but also not sell the injury too much. So
you know what I would have done differently if they were still to go the route that they went Friday night. Instead of her actually being there, I would have actually brought back via satellite. Like I would have done that. That would have been a better move.
Yeah, why was she there?
Yeah,
She's
that doesn't
physically
make any
in the
sense.
building.
Yeah.
Why would you be physically in the building and then not come out to the ring?
See, that's exactly that room for error I'm talking about. Like,
Right.
you know, like any other person be like, oh, well, it's kind of the same things. Like, no, like if it's via satellite, yeah, they could, you know, be in the building, but at least you're selling the fact that she's home recovering. She's not there to like physically get involved.
And on top
Right.
of that, you can enhance a character by where you place them. Like, for example, a lot of people like hark back to like the Austin 316 era, and they hark back to like before the Bret Hart situation. You think of the Brian Pillman, and after the Bret Hart situation, you think to like the neck injury that took him out of action, and he was at his home. You could have had a case where maybe you were at an offsite location bigging up her gimmick. It may have been something where Sasha Banks could have been in some, like, not a mansion, but something that warrants you being called the boss on some fucking throne. Like, imagine if you were on a throne and you're Sasha Banks, you're on a throne, but you're crying.
I would have laughed my ass off seeing
and
her
you're
on the throne with a neck brace on.
No, but
I get what you're saying. It's just the actual visual.
Yeah, think of the character visual, right? Where it's just like,
Right.
you have everything. You are the boss. Your character emanates this aura of confidence, and your confidence was beat out of you by your tag team partner. So you have and that was why I personally put my 2 cents in it. I didn't like the promo. I didn't think that she needed to say anything to convey the point. I thought that maybe there could have been a case where, again, she's at an offsite location. Let's say she's in a mansion or something. She's sitting down with all of the boss rings and all the stuff, all of her stuff. She's sitting there with a brace, and everyone's just basically asking her questions, and she's just looking off to a distance like, I can't even fathom my best friend did this to me. And I may have all the glory, I may have all the gold, I may have been 2 belts Banks, but under these castle walls, I'm broken because my tag team partner broke me. I think that conveys a bigger message than her sitting in a backdrop that you could have saw in a $2 Brazzers video. I'm dead ass serious. I know. I said what I said. I said what I said. I said what I said.
Oh my god!
But to be honest with you, that's the point, right? You wanna put yourself in a position where it's like, all right, this is your character. This is your character. This is what Sasha Banks is, right? This is, you're trying to convey to me that she's the boss. She's not sitting in no cold, open area surface where she could get beaten down. Why are you at the Performance Center? To your point, bring her to a place where I could tell that she's home, but also it still gives me that characterization of the thing. That's a little icing on the cake, but even still, just be in an off-site location.
That exactly is why I have to go thumbs down on this one. I don't fault them for the attempt or what they were trying to go for. I think that some little details do matter, because those details are what add up to make the segment overall great and kind of check all the boxes, so that you'd rather be, even though 75% is well over 50, right? You'd rather be at 90 than 75% in terms of getting across the message and getting across the point that you want out of the segment. So
here's the thing, though, and we're gonna segue this into, because we're gonna segue this into the IC situation. You know, we have the singles match between AJ Styles and Sami Zayn, the battle of the roll-ups, essentially, that eventually AJ Styles turned out to win. This is when you get the heel versus heel, and they try to out-heel each other. AJ Styles came out with the victory. Sami Zayn's just like mad the entire time because they're not noticing him and acknowledging him as the IC champion. And Jeff Hardy comes out of nowhere and says, F yo, you know what I mean? Comes out, whoops ass, takes names, and, he brings out a ladder out of nowhere, and you already know what's coming. You see 3 people in the ring, Clash of Champions, Gold Rush is on the mend. We have a triple threat IC championship match. Are we thumbs up, thumbs down on it? Booker, Barry, where we at?
Thumbs up on that one.
I
like the idea. It needs to happen at this point, only because technically now there's 2 IC titles. So
excuse me, whoa, it's only one.
Okay.
Sami Zayn is still the Intercontinental champion.
So in that sense, who would you pick to win it 2 weeks from now? Would you pick Sami Zayn or would you pick Jeff Hardy? Because at this point, we all know AJ Styles is not going to win it, unfortunately.
I wouldn't count out AJ just yet. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna put it like this. I'm at baseline because I like it. I like this a lot. I just find it ironic. It's always a ladder match. These undisputed shits. It's always a goddamn ladder match.
I got for that. I got something for that.
But I digress. Like, well, actually, no. It fits the point. Obviously, Razor and Michaels, and even more recently, with Cena and Orton, I think they had something like that a couple years ago when they first unified the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight title. Rest in peace, big gold belt, you beautiful bastard. I look at it like this is really cool because, for one, how many times do you see Jeff Hardy in a situation where actually I'm gonna put the thumbs up, snap baseline. How many times do you see Jeff Hardy in a situation where he has the advantage?
Not many times.
When you really think about it, like even when he has the advantage, he doesn't have the advantage. Like the last time I remember Jeff Hardy in a memorable ladder match in WWE, outside of him returning with his brother at WrestleMania, was when he fought Edge for the title, I think in 2009, in a one-on-one ladder match for that beautiful bastard. They had they had that match, and you think Jeff would have the advantage, but he was fighting Edge, so it's like the advantage was kind of neutralized. Now he's in a multi-person ladder match, which is where Jeff virtually thrives and also kills himself halfway through these matches. So it's like, and then you think of the history that all the other guys have in ladder matches. I mean, Sammy's been in Money in the Banks, but he's never been successful. And AJ Styles has been in ladder matches before, and it's kind of like I think he's like 1-1 or something like that. Like he's been in a Money in the Bank, but he was also in a TLC, which is a ladder match. So it's like, it's interesting, especially with all the dynamics. Everybody takes to the air a bit. Everybody's somewhat technically sound. So this is pretty cool. Like, and the fact that it's a triple threat unification match in a sense, or what they could be building to, is like, when do you see that?
I love the triple threat. I love the fact that they're trying to find a way to decisively unify this whole feud.
I feel bad for them at TLC.
My personal, exactly. And that's why I'm happy in terms of the booking and how everything's gone. I'm thumbs up on it. In terms of the stipulation, this is just my heart and just fanhood. I'm thumbs down on it.
Yeah, because
hear me out, please.
This is why I don't like too many gimmick pay-per-views.
Body is 60. Okay. It is 60. I've been hearing all this chatter about him being the Universal Champion. How you gonna want this dude to be Universal Champion when he can't walk to the ring? In 2 months he gonna be in a goddamn ladder match. He got a TLC ladder match, tables, ladders, and chairs, Extreme Rules. You can blink, he's gonna be in a ladder match. Like, come on now. Come on, listen. We all know this is just the fan in me.
I understand where you're coming from because, like I said, there are way too many gimmick pay-per-views on the calendar.
Yeah.
Got Extreme Rules early in the year, and then TLC later. But here's my thing: if they build this right, we might have a lit ass December match.
No, you're right. But the thing is, I feel like the whole thing in regards to the unification match, right? The idea of having a title unification match has 80% of the time been about, all right, we're going to culminate it in a gimmick match that warrants one person winning, and more likely than not is the ladder match. I feel like they could convey it in a way where they don't necessarily need it, and it could lead to something else that could help. Like, let's say if they had a regular triple threat match, not that they would, but a regular triple threat match, and there was a result that two people scored one fall at the very same time, where let's say, Hardy did a swanton bomb and, Sami Zayn like hooked the leg or something like that, and they both pinned AJ, which led to some stipulation that warranted a singles match out of that. I think that at least to me, this is just me.
But to play devil's advocate,
not with my head, but with my heart, because Jeff Hardy hurt, man.
I feel you, but to play devil's advocate,
Terry Funk now.
In terms of recency, that has happened a couple times over the past 5 years alone. Ironically, with Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, and Baron Corbin.
Exactly.
So it's in this situation, it's one of those, like, it can go either way. but
It's
you're
not
kind of fighting.
far-fetched.
You have two devils, kind of. You got to pick between the lesser of two evils. It's like that triple threat mentality has been used a couple times already the past 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have like this. Yes, you're taking a similar theme in these ladder unification things, but the fact that it's a triple threat gives it a kind of a slightly fresh dynamic. It's not, granted, it's not manure with Febreze on it. Not to say that it's shit, but I'm saying like it does. It's not exactly shit. Like it actually is taking an old concept and making it different, slightly different.
I'm just like the very last feud that Jeff Hardy was in culminated in a match where he jumped off a ladder into concrete. That's all I'm gonna leave it at that.
Oh,
I'm just saying, man. If you're gonna put him in a situation and then like let's say a couple months from now where you're just like, oh, Jeff Hardy don't got it no more. I wonder why. Y'all damn near broke like you like, all right, well this month we need you to jump off of this. You're gonna jump off the stanchion into the.
It's not. I'll say this for Jay's.
This is my heart.
For Jay's scenario, it's not far fetched because we've seen this in triple threat matches. Like Ty said, it's not that far fetched. I can see that happening, leading to you're having Jeff Hardy and Sami Zayn now being the main focal point as the IC title. I mean, listen, this type of storyline could go on for months because all three of these guys are very much entertaining. It doesn't matter. Even if you wanted to continue the storyline between the three of them to carry over into the next pay-per-view, into Hell in a Cell, you could honestly carry that story. It's gonna work.
I just hope they don't end up in that damn cell. Because
I hope they don't end up in a cell either, because then after that,
because like
Hardy's
Jeff,
gonna jump off
that.
shit too.
No.
I guarantee they gonna tell him to jump off that cell. They gonna Charles Barkley. Vince is like, hey, you gotta do it. You gotta
to
do
be
it.
honest with you, if they're gonna have like, because they had Jeff face Orton in a pretty decent Hell in a Cell match a couple of years ago,
that match is gnarly.
Or the Red Crate of Doom, as it was called. I still don't know why it was red.
Yeah.
But if they're gonna have Jeff do anything with the cell at the pay-per-view, I would like it if Sammy came out and was like cutting a segment where the cell was still up, like it was still on the ground, and he's just marching around talking about I'm the champion, and then Jeff jumps from the crowd, beats him up, beats him on the cell, like not beats him on the cell, but beats him onto the announce table, then climbs the cell and swantons, and they both get carried out.
I'm gonna say this. The only thing that I'm looking forward to this match, I think this is gonna be the match that steals the show. But I'm also looking forward to seeing if Hardy's music changes 2 weeks from now.
Yes, because they like the thing is they're focusing on the fact that
You're trying to get live.
when crowds return, they're trying to get that back. So like hey man, if it happens, part of his
new deal.
If it happens, it is part of his new deal. So
lastly, before you do move on, the best thing about this feud is the titles itself.
Yes.
Like it's been a while, and aside from this beautiful title right here, as a kid, the Intercontinental Championship was always like the hot ticket if it's not the main title. It's great to see that get some form of love, and like Ty said in the past, it's not always the title that makes the man, it's the person that makes the title. And with these three guys, like he said as well, you can definitely surround the title for around those three men for a considerable amount of time. And it needs its flowers. And I'm glad that, this triple threat is happening.
You know what else needs its flowers? Jeff Hardy versus Shane McMahon. I want that at Mania.
Why?
Why you want to see two people kill themselves?
They chose to do that for our entertainment.
This is what I'm trying to say. It's gonna happen, man.
Why don't know why y'all freaking out. They chose to do that for our entertainment.
Listen,
right?
No.
I don't want to see them get hurt.
Shane McMahon do this.
Listen,
and jump from a top.
I want them to both be on a cell and jump off together onto tables with nothing on them. I just want them to both.
Will that give Shane? Will that give Shane that pat on the back for Vince finally?
The Ring of Honor /
What do you mean Ring of Honor? That's pure wrestling. They didn't have no damn. They had a cage.
I know, but like how Ring of Honor be just doing. We just gonna do a spot. We not gonna fight each other.
I don't care how much sense. I don't care how much you think that doesn't make sense. Jeff and Shane holding hands in the air, jumping off of a cell through tables.
Wait, so they
in it.
tag team partners? Nah, listen.
What
Make
is this?
it a
The other
team.
guys with Samuel Jackson and The Rock?
Make it a team. Matter of fact, you know what? I like your idea better. Jeff Hardy and Shane McMahon being a dream team going into Mania. Do the Miz storyline all over again with Jeff and Shane, and just have them both throw the match in the greatest draw in wrestling history.
No. I'm not booking that.
What are you not booking that?
Because
What are you not booking that? No, you know what? I don't like you,
because
Eric.
I'm
You know how much money that is?
we're trying to preserve people's health, lives.
Preserve people. They agree to it.
Mind you, they ain't got no goddamn insurance.
Look, Shane does, and you know Shane can share some with Jeff.
He ain't got no. I mean, we don't know. All we know is that he got Jordans. That's it. We ain't know about his insurance.
Look, I'm just saying. No, I'm playing. But it would be kind of cool to see Jeff Hardy and Shane involved in something. Maybe they have like a dive off battle one day and like a Money in the Bank or something. I don't know. I'd like to see them involved in a match. I don't think
match would be called Suicide Pact. That's basically what it would be.
I'm just gonna say like
if all the crash pads you use for Roman's entrance, we just gonna need to stack them up together for when they drop.
Look, I'm just saying that alliance would be pretty dope. Be a whole new Team Extreme, and look, you would not be disappointed unless they missed. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, I think they're gonna be
moving on.
That is the intro for the show. Moving on. All right. Tag team specialists, from tag team specialists to tag team specialists, turned into singles star. Big E coming back. They paid off of the 2-week situation where Sheamus whooped his ass pretty much when like they were telling him, yo, Xavier Woods is backstage, and Big E's like, word? Let me go run to him. And then Sheamus just whoops his ass backstage. He drops him on a car. Turnabout's fair play. Big E did the same thing, but instead he went at the person who basically put in a good word for Sheamus. What are we thinking about this whole little singles dynamic, the singles rivalry with Big E, where they're taking him in terms of his singles push?
It's simple. You know, like in terms of his rise, it's basically simple. They're not doing too much to basically overdo his character. They're not doing too much to basically overcomplicate the story. The simple story being told.
Exactly.
You know, this is a person that is trying to be pushed. And in a lot of ways, you're not trying to make him all the way serious, something that he's not in terms of overly serious. You're giving him a reason because the story merits it. You're not forcing the issue in terms of changing a character to fit your narrative. You're basically allowing the story to manifest within itself.
The exact
Big E, for all we know, Big E's like us, man. You know, Big E's one of those happy-go-lucky guys. Yeah. But if you basically mess around with us and do something crazy, like, of course, we have every right to be mad.
It's the opposite of Banks and Bailey.
Emotion. He's pissed off. He's like, yo, my boy's here. His birthday is on the 3rd. You know, my boy, you know, Xavier's birthday is around this time. Shout out to Virgos, by the way. You know his birthday, and then he gets his ass whooped, and then like he misses a week. You know, this is around his time when he's supposed to, you know, ascend. And not enough credit is also given to Sheamus as well, because he, like, whatever role you put him in, no matter how shitty or great it has been, he's always found a way to deliver. And I think that was a tweet that Dolph Ziggler said that as well. That he said that Sheamus is an underutilized talent, that at times everything that he does, no matter how great, big, or small, is so underutilized and undervalued. And in this feud that he's having with Big E, this helps both men. You know, this can help Big E ascend to that main event status, but also keep Sheamus enough to the point where it's like, okay, I'm not all the while washed, as people may think, so I'm still relevant enough to say, even if I want to go to that main event spot or get the main title, like I can still do that too. Like, ain't shit changed. You know, I may be in my 40s and look like a jar of mayonnaise, but I'm still the same person. You know, I haven't aged at all. You know, I just got more defined and stronger with time. So
we can't help our complexion. He can't help it.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I've said this before. Big E's rise and his push should go through former world champions, and he's interviewed with a former world champion in Sheamus, probably one of the greatest world champions, probably one. But you know, this is his rise. This is how you start ascending him into that main event picture. he doesn't have to necessarily get there right now, which is great that they're not putting them there right now. It's like, earn your stripes, kid. That's basically what they're telling him. Earn your stripes. And him and Sheamus have been having a really good feud. It's not the most entertaining feud, but it's definitely the most hard-hitting.
Yeah.
Definitely the most hard-hitting.
It's the opposite of Banks and Bailey in the
That's-
sense
It
that you're giving
in every way.
it's more genuine so far. They're giving more room to develop it as opposed to rushing into things when they can spread it out over the course of the calendar. Like, that's the thing I like. I don't know if Sheamus's whole like I'm gonna dress like an Irish fighter in a
Love it.
pub thing.
I love
Like, I like it.
I like it.
It's funny because I saw on his Instagram recently he was wearing his gear with the robe and the hat, and we've been seeing him. We've been seeing him do that for weeks now with the whole like he has like a street attire. Like, it's like Here Comes the Pain. He's got like a street attire where he's dressed like this, and then his in-ring attire. So this might be a slight character evolution for Sheamus too, or at least some sort of alteration of what he is. So I do agree with Randy, and I agree with Eric. It's helping both men, and it's giving us room to go to think about where it's gonna go.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome to think because, like, you know, we look towards like the, you know, Chris Jericho is a prime example of this, the reinvention of oneself, and having the creative behind you to do so. And while Sheamus has not been the focal point of, you know, programming, you know, as of late, the fact that he has been able to have that, you know, character progression, even as simple as his attire, is pretty cool because you could see from the attire to his, you know, way he carries himself in the ring, it's leaps and bounds over, you know, above and beyond in comparison to the other people at his position. You know, do want to shout out before moving on. Do want to shout out the whole situation with I don't know if you guys saw the Matt Riddle thing, but that was hilarious for all the wrong reasons. Shout out to that. But actually, like the real shout out I would like to do is to Bray Wyatt, Alexa Bliss, that whole storyline, you know, continuing, you know, that is pretty dope. Do want to shift gears here, just to the Wednesday Night Wars, because it's officially back. It was back prime time. AEW won in the wars. NXT, you know, held weight. We had different things happening on both shows. Guys, what do we think about it being that it's the first week that they're back to their regularly scheduled programming?
Definitely NXT. NXT is always a good show, no matter what. But I don't think for coming back this Wednesday, I don't think they put on the best show that they could have put on compared to AEW. Because in the ratings, AEW won by a landslide. If I'm not mistaken, the numbers were very, very noticeable. But for the card on NXT, I mean, it wasn't a bad show. You had a North American Championship match between Damian Priest and Timothy Thatcher. You had a NXT Tag Team Championship match between Breezango and Imperium. A non-title matchup with Shotzi Blackheart and Io Shirai, which Bleacher Report gave an A. And then you had Drake Maverick and Killian Dane versus Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish. I mean, you had a pretty decent show.
That's where I disagreed with you. I was like, not a bad show to put on back on the Wednesday Night Wars. It sounds pretty fire to me. Like, and seeing it in action was pretty fun too. So
no, it was definitely a lot of praise went to Damian Priest and Timothy Thatcher. Obviously, because on paper that already is that's a takeover worthy match.
Oh my
exactly. God. That's why when you said that at first, I was like, because like if there's one thing
but one match doesn't win you.
But it wasn't just one match. That's my thing. Like the card was solid, and honestly, that's one thing with NXTV's like issues is the fact that like let's be real. Let's just shatter the illusion that everybody who watches NXT watches every episode, because even in NXT's heyday, nobody watched every episode. Okay, unless you were like a dedicated fan to this new product that was on the underground, doing its own thing underneath SmackDown or Raw's nose, right? Unless you really were watching every single episode, what do most people watch NXT for?
At the time, Finn Balor.
No, the takeovers. That's what people watch NXT more for than anything. This is why like this Wednesday Night War thing has like even from the jump, I knew it wasn't going to go in NXT's favor because like no matter how stacked their roster gets, right? Most people have already associated NXT's greatness with either that special episode every once in a while or the takeover. When they did that Super Tuesday shit, they got some pretty high ratings for the Super Tuesday.
So with that, Ty, I want to ask you a question because you leaning towards something that like I've been thinking about for a while. Like, is it fair to make the tagline a war? Because it's essentially like if we wanted to like list the priorities, of course, you know, you have the flagship shows and then you have NXT versus a AEW where it's just that, and then you have Dark, which is on YouTube. So it's like AEW is their Raw competing against NXT, which is a, you know, like third in command. Like, so is it fair to even consider it a this one this week, this one the other week? Like, is it fair?
It's not really a war. It's a war by default. It's like y'all are here, y'all are wrestling shows on the same night. If the ABA in basketball still existed and had a game the same night as the NBA, it would immediately be considered a channel flipping occasion, right? It would immediately be a situation of, yo, I don't know which one to watch, and it's a competition, regardless of how you see it. It is a competition, just because you're both in the same vicinity or you're in a similar vicinity. The reason why it doesn't feel like a full out, like you can tell at times they're acknowledging the fact that the other person's there, and on the under, you know, like behind the scenes, it is a war. Of course, you want to have the best show possible. It is a competition, but the reason why it doesn't feel all out like that is because of what you said. Like AEW gets the ratings that it gets. It's completely new. It's a new wrestling program on TV in America that isn't TNA, that isn't Ring of Honor on Sinclair or anything like that. Like this is highly available in comparison to like the Spike TV days of TNA and whatnot, right? So the fact that it's more widely available and USA is also very widely available, it feels bigger than it actually is. But in reality, you have two brands still trying to find themselves. AEW is trying to find itself. NXT has more of a identity, but its identity has shifted a couple times, man. Talk about changing makeup day by day. So for me, it's like it's a war by default because y'all are there. You know, it doesn't feel like it to me. It feels more so like Triple H is cracking under the pressure because they're constantly getting pressed by AEW every once in a while. AEW has no choice but to go to war. In reality, their company has to fight 3 programs every week, not just NXT.
And you also have to understand, too, you also have to take into account the fact that even if NXT is their third brand, the fact that they're doing those numbers against a bigger brand like AEW should tell you the fact that, you know, even without trying, they're still trying to keep themselves in the game. As well as the fact that it doesn't have to necessarily, like you said, it doesn't have to be a war. You know, we can all just enjoy, you know, the shows for what it is. I mean, obviously, you have the Ryan Satins of the world who always, or Sean Ross, Sapp, who always basically make the euphemism, the fact that, oh, NXT won again, another score for the good guys. Like, for me, personally, for me, I don't care about that. I just care, the fact that I enjoy some dope wrestling. Even if both shows either underwhelmed or overwhelmed in a sense. You know, it's just a matter of what did I take away from either show. You know, and AEW has been chugging along lately, because they're starting to find their footing again. And like you said before, Trips doesn't really have to basically force himself to do so. As long as you just stay the course and enjoy yourself, it's dope to have 2 good shows on one night because, like, it creates so much interest. It makes the viewer like, all right, what's going on this channel? What's going on this channel? It creates some intrigue. You have a smorgasbord of angles and wrestling and moments that you want to be a part of, and that gives the fans a lot of options and choice in the matter. You know, ratings shouldn't always play a factor in terms of, you know, how they view this war. You know, or even if they want to look at it as a war by default, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, what did you take from either show?
So like I'll pose this scenario before, like, you know, moving on. because again, this is an interesting, concept to think about. AEW, of course, is growing their roster, week by week, month by month. Let's say that their roster doubles its size. AEW's roster doubles its size.
It's on its way, yeah.
And they're looking at trying to expand. And they say, hey, we're gonna put AEW Dark on television. We're gonna find a platform to put it on television. And we shift Dynamite to Mondays. Would that change?
Yes. And because right now, the only thing that really makes it feel like a war is creative pressure back and forth, right? Like the fact that they're in the same vicinity, and that's creative pressure, because you can tell Triple H, like, there are things he's revolving his show around things AEW does from a creative standpoint. Like, what ideas are we putting out there? When do we want to drop pay-per-views or big episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a competition for sure, but in terms of an all-out war, if AEW wanted to expand, turn Dark into like their SmackDown or something to Dynamite's Raw, then yeah, it would feel a lot more like a war, because now it's like, if you're fighting 3 battleships with one, and now you have an extra battleship, now you're starting to even the playing field, because at first it's like you can only compete with one with your resources, right? The more you get, the more even the fight starts to look. And to be honest with you, the idea of Dark going on the television like that would also be pretty interesting, because like, who would they switch roster wise? Because would it be like early SmackDown where you take some of your vets and your big guys and put them over there, and then have some young guys to build with them so you can make like new franchises? Or do you do it the old school SmackDown way, where it's a continuation show, where like Dynamite happens here and then some things can carry over on Dark but bring it right back to Dynamite? So I think, yeah, it would feel more like a war at that point, because now it's like you're really trying to stand toe to toe with the other company by getting more resources.
I do want to touch a little bit on AEW, and it has been solid recently. We've seen like the growth of the Hangman Page Omega dynamic, like underlying while Hangman is doing his thing. Jericho's kind of back in, like, kind of just go finding his way around the card. Now he's in the tag division, in the thick of it. There was something that kind of caught the ire of one of myself and Randy's friends in regards to AEW, and it was this whole idea of like putting their like Twitch or their Twitches and their thing, like putting that at the forefront, like as like a little, like, do you think it's like a slight jab and slight jab to WWE? And if that's the case, like, why? Like, is it a good move that they are promoting that? Like for Miro, for example, right? They're bigging up the fact that he's, the best man, and he's like this guy, he's pumping iron, and like they're putting also at the forefront that he's the best Twitch gamer. Like, what do we think about this?
I don't think it's a shot at WWE. I think it's more of a capitalization, because it's like, okay, you're not going to use this platform anymore, but we're going to use it. Because I mean, what's the main thing that AEW has been really big on? They've been big on getting their name out there. It was big on that before they were even a company. They were big on trying to promote themselves. So now this is a platform that Vince doesn't want his stars to use. So, okay, if you don't want to use it, we're going to use it. And this is basically what's happening. And I also want to give a quick shout out, because nobody really mentioned it, but this is my match for this little Wednesday night war thing. Kazarian and Hangman Page. That was a hell of a match. I saw the highlights. That was a really good match. I think that match really swung in AEW's favor for me. But as far as them using third party things like Twitch and everything, they know these guys have the capability of putting themselves out there and promoting themselves, and this is just another way to promote themselves. It's not a shot at WWE. I mean, we already know who takes the most shots at WWE, and he's off TV right now, which is Cody Rhodes. Other than that,
right behind with Jericho.
Yeah, Jericho. Cody and Jericho, those two take the most
And
shots at WWE. And who?
Moxley.
Moxley too. Moxley does too, but he
When
does it more
asked,
off
yeah,
camera.
like
He does it more off camera than on camera.
yeah, he gets provoked into it. They'd be like, "Yo, what do you think of your former employee?" Well, listen, I wasn't gonna say this.
Cody just shows up and just speaks on how he feels, just like Jericho does.
Threw a hammer
Jericho
at a
just shows up and
throne.
just-
Jericho's a mark. Yeah, I ain't going front. Jericho be playing both sides too fucking much. Like, let's put this shit to bed real quick. Nah, let's put this shit to bed. Jericho be playing both fucking sides. Because every time you be like, oh, me leaving, I have a good relationship with Vince and the third, he's greasing both fucking wheels. Let's make that.
No, he's just he's in the best position you can be at. Because it's like, dude already has a legacy in WWE. WWE's gonna take him back. Look at what they've done with most of their like ruthless and attitude era stars. He's in a position where he can literally instigate both sides and has advantages on both sides. It's like
Jericho is notorious for greasing wheels, and the fact that the reason why he can get away with this is because he's so tight with Vince and everybody else back there. Like, if he can say certain shit to get away with it, he knows just one of those nods, like, yo, like, I love y'all, but I'm just gonna give you a jab every now and then. We're just shooting the breeze.
I think that's also like the theme with a lot of the vets like going on right now. Like, WWE has Orton. Orton is the WWE's version of that, where it's like, I do what I want. I'm cool with Cody.
The ultimate troll.
I'm chilling with Cody. Like, I just roast everybody whenever I want. I could praise him whenever I want.
Orton can curse on TV pretty much. He could let it slip out during matches.
I post my girl about her modeling.
Like, if you're in a position, like, when you have legacies like that, of course you got that stroke. And the fact that Jericho knows he can go back anytime he wants after these 3 years, I guess now 2 years. But it's like, of course he could do that. I mean, Rock does that all the time. When Rock shows up, they have a whole like glad campaign. We were talking about this the other day. Rock just come in and kick his candy ass, and it's like it's his catchphrase. He's got to say it, but it's like that goes completely against glad if you know what candy ass means. Like Rock can make jokes on transvestites and things like that on TV.
In terms of greasing wheels, Rock's a little different. Rock can basically be outside, like, yo, I watch AEW. And what, Vince? I own XFL.
Well, I'm not even talking about greasing wheels. I'm talking about like when you're in a position where you can do what you want.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about instigating, just being in a position where you can do what you want. It's like
Austin does the same thing. Like, Austin has that rope too. Like, there are people. If John Cena really, really wanted to, which he has already in some ways, like he can definitely say what the fuck he wants to too.
Yes.
Like Cena's in that rarefied air where. The fact that he does it very subliminally. Like, if you really, really interpret some shit that he posts on Instagram, it's like,
For us not to digress too much, to answer what you said, Jay, I agree with Eric. He is trying. AEW is trying to do what more companies have done. I mean, we've seen with Impact with Twitch as well. Like, people like using the platforms that everyone. This is something that kind of annoys me because WWE is like, you're the biggest platform, period. You think you would be on top of this more. I mean, we see the tweets like on the screen sometimes when they're like showing graphics and stuff, but like tout was a thing when you easily could have used Instagram. And then when you guys do use these platforms, they're like YouTube exclusives, .com exclusives that nobody really uses anymore. I don't think anybody uses the .com the way that they did back in the day. Like, you should be on this. Like, there was a point in time where SmackDown, I believe, was doing a thing where they would do like selfie promo videos. And they would have the text appear on the screen and shit. Like, well, that was a little extra. But like the idea of using selfie promos, like, actually is like, although I'm not a big fan of the current digital age, it is something smart to do because that's how most people talk nowadays, sadly. Like, using those videos and just like, especially if you have like Finn Balor in this misty ass alley, or you have the Usos up in there like chained up, like, what do you call it, gate area that they always cut their promos from. Like, that shit works. Like, the fact that they could have used TikTok use TikTok for like this and that. Like, why? Well, I mean, now it's going to be, by tomorrow, as of this recording, it's probably not going to be in America no more. Yeah. But my point being is, like, these are things that I don't think I think people were smart enough to realize it in WWE, but no one co-signed it quick enough. AEW, why not? Exactly. Why the hell not? I mean, yeah, I still think it is a shot at the company, just because of the timing of it. But I do think it's the smart thing to do because it's like, if I'm gonna leave $20 on your footstep and you're not gonna pick it up, if somebody just jump on your porch, take it and run,
Your fault.
yeah.
Yeah, that's your fault. I'll quick note when you said like Usos chained up, like and cutting promos. I could have sworn you said they were chained up and cooking promos. I ain't gonna lie. Either way, it's applicable. It's applicable.
Chained up and cooking promos.
That's what I heard. You spoke back or you was like, yeah, man, chained up and cooking promos. Man. I was like, wait, cutting the cooking, but it made sense because they be put bars. Quick news wrap
Chained
up.
up the Usos.
Huh? That's what you said. Yo, man, listen.
It's
I got
Brock.
the edits. I got the edits. We gonna run it back.
It's Brock. It has to be Brock.
But a quick wrap up in the week. We had some like rumors. One of which Melina potentially returning to the WWE. Of course, like she shut down those rumors. But like quick thoughts about like just the whole notion of like talent switching over or even coming to a promotion and it rumored, then them denying it, and all these different things. Like, quick thoughts on that.
Poor NWA. If this ends up being true, seriously, come on.
It's like it's starting to get sad at this point because it's like
they keep coming back to the house and taking shit. Like this is not.
It's like WWE is saying, okay, you can take these guys. You can borrow them for a minute, and then it's just like, okay, we're gonna take them back now.
So it's the bruh man. So WWE is bruh man, and
but it wasn't their fault. It's not NWA's fault.
Most disrespectful burglar ever. Just take all the shit and leave.
Why is it not their fault?
They just rubbing it. Sorry, y'all.
Like,
why do you keep doing this?
I feel bad for Billy Corgan because he really meant well. He really means well for that promotion.
He has a great mind too.
He wanted to take Impact to that next level. Didn't happen. Brought NWA back. We got Power. We got Studio Wrestling back. It was great. And then Fried Chicken in Ethiopia. But they recovered though. And then they got all these cool ass people. And I'm just like, why? Why? Like, this pandemic is a pandemic. It's not fair. They out here, it's pandemicing right now, and it is killing the NWA's whatever roster they had on Power is gone. But like on a serious note, you never know anymore. There was a rumor recently that Ricochet wanted to leave, and he had to shut that down on Twitter. Melina had to shut down the idea. At this point, I don't know what's real and what's not because wrestling websites be tripping. Sometimes it's like conspiracy theories at this point, like either it happens or it doesn't. You have to sit back and wait, which is like a weird way to preserve kayfabe while we're on the inside looking in. And to be honest, I don't want to be that deep into knowing everything. Like from a sports standpoint, most of the reason why you look at a lot of these things is because you're looking at them like injury reports. You just want to see who's around, who's available, who can be used, who can step up. And a lot of these wrestlers kind of get their spot blown up and their bag getting messed up because it's like, this could have been a cool surprise. Now I have to either sit there and deny it so that hopefully it still feels like a surprise later on, assuming it happens, right? Or genuinely nothing's going on and they got to sit here and deny this rumor because that's all their name. Everybody has their name in their mouth and it's not the way they want to see it. Everybody's got an agenda.
And then on the opposite end of the spectrum too, like, people could take to heart because I could easily tie this in and segue it into like, there's more so like a minor story, but I saw me and Gene posted earlier today. It was like the Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch, like Ronda Rousey commenting the fact that she had the same overall as her in Battlegrounds. She was just like, she basically dissed Becky Lynch and saying like, nobody wants to like play her in the game. And like, she was referring to, nobody wants to like go in her box and play as her, except for Seth Rollins. It was something. Yeah, it was something along those lines.
That was kind of funny.
And it was funny. Don't get me wrong. But I was looking at that and I just laughed at it. And I was like, you know what? Well, kayfabe is fun. Like that's all I commented on the post, and then we just moved on because it's like you never
really know nowadays.
You never want to overanalyze it.
Exactly. With the way that the products have been the past, I'd say since like there's always been marks, there's always been online dirt sheets, this and that, right? But I think as fans have become more paranoid because of how bad products have been across the board in different promotions, everybody wants to know more so that they can prepare for the worst or so that they can help try to make things better. And because everybody's so hypersensitive to the news and everything, it's like you understand why they're the way they are, but you also want them to feel comfortable enough to be fooled again or to allow themselves to be immersed in the product again. And it's like until a lot of these companies regain that trust, especially WWE, it's going to take a while before people can be comfortable, let their guard down and be like, you know what? I could sit here and be like, yeah, this is some bullshit right now, but you know what? This is too fucking entertaining for me to mess this up. I'm going to let them have this Twitter war.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it in the past with the AJ debut. I mean, look how quiet that was. Nobody knew, except for maybe a few like real top guys. When I mean top guys, I'm talking like John Cena-esque. Those guys probably knew.
Shane McMahon was I will the last 10 years
another one.
Forever be. I ran home. I sped home. That's it.
Shane's another one. Who else?
Y'all bring up a good point because it's not always just the fans either. It's also the companies blowing up their own spot by ruining. Like, how we will never forgive them for announcing Daniel Bryan coming back to wrestling hours before the SmackDown. Like, both sides got to ease up. Like the fans, look, we don't have to know every single thing. It would be nice, but if something bad happens, we blow their spot afterwards because we definitely know it happened as opposed to speculation. And for the companies, y'all got to make us like this was going to happen regardless. More people are going to find out no matter what as generations went on, right? You got to find more ways to keep people invested because your sport needs investment more than any other sport in the world.
Are we subliminally talking to Mean Gene about this? Like,
subliminally,
are we subliminally talking about Mean Gene in terms of like the spoils and the
because he's Vince the Third. So
where's my rock photo?
Yes.
Where's my rock photo?
We just going. We throw that on there. We throw that on. Yeah. But I mean, I think that's definitely the week in wrestling. I mean, shouts out to NWA Power. The Nick Aldis retaining his strap, getting on it.
Yes.
Like that was dope.
Hold on to it.
Seriously, dogs. Like, you've
don't let it go.
He's been killing.
I don't mean to go on a tangent.
Don't give it to Cody when you go to AEW.
Can we stop? No. Can we?
Yo, Billy Corgan, hang in there.
Yo, stop messing with the NWA, man. Like
hang in there. You can do it. I believe in you.
I want the NWA to succeed in some way, shape, or form. Whether they do an eventual partnership with AEW or eventual partnership again with Ring of Honor because of the Marty Scurll situation being so weird. I just want them to win. This pandemic has been hitting them. They've been getting slapboxed so much they don't even know what concussion they're on right now. Like, this is ass, man. And I hate it. They don't deserve this.
It's the Chris Tucker kick by the Triads.
Eddie Kingston was going to be the next in line for that world title. Like, I kind of wanted that between him and all this.
It'd be like that. But again, that being said, shout out to the successful title defense. Shout out to the G1 Classic starting up. We gonna get on it as the tournament is gonna go on. And for a little funny to tie it up in a bow this week, we spoke about him ad nauseum when his documentary came out. Shouts out to Undertaker enjoying life post retirement alongside his daughter. It was kind of hilarious to see his daughter just playing along, getting Mark Calloway. We're getting a little more Mark Calloway in 2020. 2020 has been a weird.
Also, I got to give a quick shout out here to Samoa Joe on Up, Up, Down, Down, beating Shelton Benjamin and Tekken. I got to give that. I'm sorry, man. I'm mad that
Samoa Joe's a low-key gamer. He's a low-key gamer.
He's not low-key.
I love everybody involved in Up, Up, Down, Down, but I wish I could.
I gotta keep AJ away from Xbox controllers.
No,
AJ's a menace when it comes to hardware.
AJ is competitive as fuck.
I want. If there was ever a Kofi Kingston, a heel Kofi Kingston persona, just bring Mr. 24/7 to television. Just please.
For real.
He never stops talking. I'm losing, but I'm still winning, even though I'm losing.
Yo, imagine he did some Jericho.
Jericho.
Imagine he did some Jericho type mess. Remember when Jericho was like with the it, and then he would get out of the frame and come back and be like it. I would love if Kofi just went out nowhere and been like, "Listen, man, when I go out that ring, I got your ass," and they just all confused. It's like, and then he comes back, he's like, "Got your ass." Or no, after he beats them, pause, like he whispers in the ear, "I got your ass," like after he ends a match or something. I need that to happen, man. That's actually a rumor. They want to put Kofi on Raw, and that was like a possible rumor putting Kofi on Raw and having Xavier be a manager for Big E and Kofi. I'm like, y'all just want New Day to run everything, don't you?
Yeah, they slammed that rumor.
So we're gonna give a scenario with Kofi Kingston. He just hits people with the Trouble in Paradise out of nowhere, and before he pins them 1, 2, 3, and he just got your ass.
Or maybe he pulls some rock mess. Like before he pins him, he gets the mic and then he does the pin 1, 2, 3, and before the bell rings, got your ass right before the bell rings or something like that, man.
And he has to breathe heavily, like Biggie, be like, for your daddy and for your uncle.
I don't want to hear that in my ear.
Nah, I don't want to hear that in my ear either. You would have to fight real life backstage.
Hey, listen, we gotta keep it. We go shot in honor of New Day and Up Up Down Down, and backstage brawl gonna keep it tight for the daddy and for the uncle.
I'm gonna
just go child.
Nah, man. If Biggie, if Biggie did that to me after the match, I'm fighting. I don't care if I lose. I'm not gonna let that go down.
Listen. Diamond Cutter, People's Champ, Kid Dynamite, Golden Child.
Good time.
We out.